about 6 to 8 weeks ago, I was listening to one of your podcasts. It was a conversation that you were having with Mark Vernon. In Mark's traditionally Christian mystic style, he steered the conversation towards the possibility of angels. And your response to that, and if I have this wrong, just start talking over me and correct me. Your reaction was, well, you invoked Bernardo's metaphor and then said something along the lines of, we have to be open to the possibility that there are these whirlpools that are less formed. I'm wondering if you could expand upon that just a little bit. And then secondly, am I misreading it that these less defined whirlpools are benevolent? In other words, should we be open to the possibility that there are not benevolent, less formed whirlpools out there? Something that may be malevolent or something less extreme, maybe perhaps the archetypal trickster.
Yes, okay. Yes, I remember the conversation with Mark and him talking about angels, and I had never really thought of it before, but as very often happens in these conversations, I have to kind of spontaneously tailor my understanding to the context of the conversation. So because Mark formulated the question in terms of angels, I wanted to see if this consciousness-only model could accommodate the possibility of angels, and if so, in what way? So taking this consciousness-only model, we start with infinite consciousness. There's just infinite consciousness and its activity. And each of our minds are a localization of its activity, from whose perspective the rest of its activity appears to us as the universe. Now, imagine the process where infinite consciousness localizes or contracts itself into each of our finite minds. The river forms into a whirlpool. That's the analogy. So, and as I think, as you quote, and as I think I said to Mark, we have to be open to the possibility that there might be other kinds of formations in the river that, or we could say other kinds of whirlpool or other kinds of formations that aren't like human minds. Why would a human mind be the only type of localization of infinite consciousness in infinite consciousness? After all, there are dogs' minds and cats' minds and fleas' minds and bats' minds and so on. Could there be other kinds of minds that the very narrow spectrum within which a human mind operates cannot be perceived? I mean, after all, other creatures can perceive parts of the wavelength of light and sound that are not perceivable to human beings. Well, could there be other kinds of activities of consciousness, in other words, mind, that exist in infinite consciousness? They're made of infinite consciousness, but are not knowable by a human mind, not because they don't exist, but because the human mind operates on too narrow a frequency. And these energies, this activity of consciousness, lies outside the narrow wavelength of a human mind. So I was suggesting, yes, surely there may well be. It's very unlikely that a human mind, or even the animal minds that we know of, are the only kinds of minds. Maybe there could be other kinds of minds that are not are of such a frequency that they would never appear to a human being embodied. So they would correspond to an angelic realm, which of course traditionally were painted as if they were kind of luminous human beings. That's just a traditional interpretation. Of course, they look nothing like human beings. So that's just a symbol. The angelic human being is just a symbol for a realm of mind that lies outside the human mind, but inside consciousness. Now, could it be possible that some of these activities of mind were malevolent? Well, surely yes, just as there are malevolent human minds. We can all think of minds who bring a great deal of suffering and distress to humanity, almost as if they were on a mission to do so. Well, the nature of their minds is the same consciousness that is the nature of the mind of the Buddha and Jesus Christ and Ramana Maharshi. But because of the deep ignorance that has infiltrated that mind, their innate goodness is perverted and comes out in the form of what we call evil actions. Now, could there be a corresponding version in this realm of mind that is outside the human mind? Well, yes, possibly. Yeah. So I think, Bodhi, that's all I can say. Do I have examples? Do I have first-hand experience of such realms or such minds? No. But my mind, my human mind is very limited. So I think it's perfectly reasonable to suspect that, yes, there could well be such minds.
Thank you, Rupert. How lucky are we to be together, to have these kinds of conversations?
I agree, Bodhi. I agree how lucky we are to be, because this understanding that we all share here, it's not created in my mind and just delivered to all of you. It's this understanding is generated between us. It arises out of our conversations, out of our gatherings. And I agree with you. I feel blessed and humbled and fortunate to be part of this community where this understanding is always renewing itself in response to our questions. Yes, thank you, Bodhi.
Thank you.
Very nice to meet you.
Thank you to everyone.
Thank you, Bodhi.